In 1969, at a UNESCO conference in San Francisco, peace activist John McConnell proposed a day to honor the earth and the concept of peace, to first be celebrated on March 21, 1970, the first day of spring in the Northern Hemisphere. This was later sanctioned in a proclamation written by McConnell and signed by the Secretary General Font at the United Nations. A month later, a separate Earth Day was founded by United States Senator Gaylord Nelson as an environmental teach-in, first held on April 22nd, 1970. While this April 22nd Earth Day was focused on the United States, Dennis Hayes, the original national coordinator, took it international in 1990 and organized events in 141 nations. So let me take you back to 1970. I remember, and I know some of you will remember, this next voice as a trusted advisor who came into our homes on a nightly basis. Let's hear a little about that first Earth Day from Walter Cronkite.
This is a CBS News special, Earth Day, a question of survival, with CBS News correspondent Walter Cronkite.
Good evening. A unique day in American history is ending, a day set aside for a nationwide outpouring of mankind seeking its own survival. Earth Day, a day dedicated to enlisting all the citizens of a bountiful country in the common cause of saving life from the deadly byproducts of that bounty, the fouled skies, the filthy waters, the littered earth. As a demonstration, its success was mixed, beyond expectations here, far below there. No one now can know exactly how many took part. We do have an idea how many planned participation, student groups in 2,000 colleges and 10,000 lower schools, citizen groups in 2,000 communities. By one measurement, Earth Day failed. It did not unite. It did attract that broad cross-section of America its sponsors wanted, not quite. Its demonstrators were predominantly young, predominantly white, predominantly anti-Nixon. Often its protests appeared frivolous, its protesters curiously carefree. Yet the gravity of the message of Earth Day still came through. Act or die.
So, that first Earth Day had mixed reviews. Some places had major successes, others had rather frivolous...
Those who ignore.
All right. Others had rather frivolous student rallies, but maybe some of you were there. But it was a start. Some of you remember 1970. It was an era of 10-mile-per-gallon cars with no catalytic converters, no fuel-injected engines, and the smell of poorly combusted gasoline was the norm everywhere you went. We simply took it for granted. Lead-laden smog was a fact of life in many metropolitan areas. So, what has changed since Earth Day 1970? Well, the world's population has doubled from 3.7 billion to 6.5 billion. CO2 emissions have climbed continuously from 15 billion tons annually in 1970 to 36 billion tons in 2017. The average Earth temperature has increased nearly a full degree Celsius. Sea ice in the Arctic has decreased dramatically. The minimum average annual sea ice coverage has dropped by 2 million square kilometers since the first Earth Day. Why does that matter? Ask a polar bear. And while sea ice melting does not raise the sea levels, it means warmer water adjacent to the Greenland ice shelf. There's enough water in the Greenland ice shelf to raise sea levels worldwide by 25 feet. And that ice shelf is shrinking. Sea levels have risen since that first Earth Day, almost 11 centimeters. More people means more land being cultivated and irrigated. Cultivated land area has increased by 80% since 1970. 170 animal species have gone extinct since 1970. that seems pretty bleak. But let us not let doom and gloom prevail. There's good news too. That same Nixon signed the Clean Air Act of 1970. The Clean Air Act impacts and monitors carbon monoxide, sulfur dioxide, nitrogen dioxide, lead, volatile organic compounds, and particulate emissions. Overall, in the US, these pollutants have declined by 71%, while energy consumption has increased by 44%. Miles driven is up 184%, and our economy has grown almost 250% since that first Earth Day. It now seems odd to smell a car that's burning fuel inefficiently. I find when I notice this odor, I'm usually pulled up behind a vintage sort of vehicle, as newer cars are much cleaner and more efficient and getting better. In fact, tailpipe emissions of those EPA-controlled pollutants by new vehicles have decreased by 99% since the birthday of Earth Day. Humans can do so much when we work together and legislate wisely. In 1972, the US banned the use of DDT. Bald eagles returned from the brink of extinction to robust numbers, and we in Kitsap County have enjoyed a front row seat with regards to witnessing this rapid improvement. I certainly remember 30 years ago it was a spectacle if you saw an eagle, and now they're almost commonplace. That's good news. Nesting pairs in the lower 48 states in 1974 measured around 800. In 2006, it was approaching 10,000. Yeah, that's good news. In 1987, the world banned CFCs, the chlorofluorocarbons. Ozone-depleting emissions have decreased by 98%. The ozone layer has stabilized and begun to recover. It'll take more decades, but it's estimated that the current levels of improvement help to prevent 2 million skin cancers each year. So, a lesson of Earth Day. I think it's both unwise to preach doomsday and foolish to deny and shout down the science of global warming. Both of these extreme views lead to inertia and inaction. Let's hear the very end of that Walter Cronkite broadcast from Earth Day 1970.
Earth Day, well, that's one thing. Those who ignore the crisis of our planet, that's quite another. The indifferent to miss the point that to clean up the air and earth and water in the few years science says is left to us means personal involvement and may mean personal sacrifice, the likes of which Americans have never been asked to make in time of peace. The sense of the day's teaching was that America must undertake a revolution in its way of life. Affluent America will, we were told, almost certainly have to scale down its standards of living, give up having as many cars, as many children, as many cans, as many conveniences, as much conspicuous consumption. Someday, we heard today, the world will be a better place if it listens and acts. But in the meantime, perhaps for a generation or more, it will be frighteningly costly to each of us to clean up the mess each of us has made. But the cost of not doing so is more frightening. That's what today's message really means. And those who march today, and those who slept, and those who scorned, are in this thing together. What is at stake, and what is in question, is survival. This is Wartime Guide. Good night.
Kind of fun to look back at that, isn't it? Clearly, the message of that first Earth Day, as interpreted by Cronkite, was incorrect. We can clean our world, feed and house people, raise everybody's standard of living, and protect and nurture our planet if we'll just work together. It's up to us to vote with our dollars and our ballots in order to effect change. It's up to us to be vigilant and energized. Let us mourn together when our planet is scarred, and celebrate whenever things improve. And today, we celebrate our planet in thought, in worship, and in song. And the choir's next song is one of hope and celebration for us and for our planet. I dreamed of rain.